Black Heaven is a place where...
You are listening to John Henry Media Network in the United States of America. Our podcasts get active participation for the following top countries: the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, South Africa, Canada, Israel, Brazil, Bahamas, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Don't forget to follow us, share us, leave a comment and download episodes. Remember, this is the right place to hear very powerful messages and music for Black America. Because we know that your message might awaken yet another sleeping giant. So, contact us today at jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. I say again, that's jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com, and get your music, message or information heard by millions for a generous donation today. I can hear my neighbor crying. I can't breathe. Now, I'm in the struggle. And I can't leave. Calling out the violence of the racist police. We ain't gonna stop till my people are free. We ain't gonna stop till my people are free.
This for my niggas, you know what I'm saying? My real niggas.
You are listening to John Henry Media Network, and we know that truth is the new hate speech.
Get your message or business promoted on John Henry Media Network. Make contact today. Use this email address, jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. That's jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. Again, that's jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. For specific details on submitting your audio to make it happen, it will be aired on our very next episode for a small donation of your choice. So let's make it happen right now.
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy.
The 7 disturbing truths about Christopher Columbus. Number 1. Christopher Columbus never discovered America. The closest he got was Cuba, on his first voyage. Even on his second, third, and fourth voyages, Columbus reached Central America and the island of Hispaniola, now Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but it wasn't until April of 1513 when Europeans first set foot on the mainland U.S., when Juan Ponce de Leon sailed to Florida from Puerto Rico. History records, a map of Columbus' 4 voyages, reveals exactly how far Columbus actually was from the New World. Number 2. Columbus misrepresented the natives who rescued him as cannibals. Upon his arrival to the Bahamas, Christopher Columbus wrecked the Santa Maria. The native population worked for hours to rescue the crew and their cargo. Despite the natives' kindness, Columbus' mind immediately went to how profitable enslaving the native population would be. In his journal, Columbus wrote, "With 50 men they can all be subjugated and made to do what is required of them." Despite the natives' kindness and hospitality, Columbus later described the indigenous population as cannibals, when he wrote in 1493, "They are evil and I believe they are from the island of Caribe, and that they eat men." Columbus elaborated, describing them as savage cannibals, with dog-like noses that drink the blood of their victims. Number 3. Columbus' sailors were rapists and murderers. On Columbus' second voyage, he was accompanied by 1,200 men, who viewed the native population as theirs to exploit. One particularly sickening account of the raping and pillaging that Columbus' men carried out was from Michel de Cuneo, a wealthy aristocrat who called Columbus a close friend. "While I was in the boat I captured a very beautiful Carib woman, whom the said Lord Admiral gave to me, and with whom, having taken her into my cabin, she being naked according to their custom, I conceived desire to take pleasure. I wanted to put my desire into execution, but she did not want it and treated me with her fingernails in such a manner that I wished I had never begun, Takunio wrote. But seeing that, to tell you the end of it all, I took a rope and thrashed her well, for which she raised such unheard of screams that you would not have believed your ears. Finally we came to an agreement in such manner that I can tell you that she seemed to have been brought up in a school of harlots. One of the few men accompanying Columbus who eventually grew disgusted with his actions was Bartolomé de Lascaux. De Lascaux bore witness to the atrocities the Spanish colonists committed on the native populations, and was so moved by his experiences that he renounced his past life and became a friar, committed to social justice for indigenous populations. In one of de Lascaux' letters, he described the monstrous brutality of the colonists toward the natives, including nursing mothers and their babies. They attacked the towns and spared neither the children nor the aged nor pregnant women nor women in childbed, not only stabbing them and dismembering them but cutting them to pieces as if dealing with sheep in the slaughterhouse, de Lascaux wrote. They laid bets as to who, with one stroke of the sword, could split a man in two or could cut off his head or spill out his entrails with a single stroke of the pike. They took infants from their mothers' breasts, snatching them by the legs and pitching them headfirst against the crags, or snatched them by the arms and threw them into the rivers, roaring with laughter and saying as the babies fell into the water, "Boil there, you offspring of the devil." Number 4. Columbus massacred over 250,000 natives for gold. Columbus could only justify his multiple voyages across the Atlantic Ocean by assuring King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella that the newly discovered lands were rich with gold. So on his subsequent voyages, Columbus was pressured to deliver. The native populations were quickly enslaved and forced to mine at least a thimbleful of gold every 3 months. In A People's History of the United States, Howard Zinn described the gradual genocide of indigenous populations in the Bahamas, saying they were worked at a ferocious pace. In 2 years, through murder, mutilation, or suicide, half of the 250,000 Indians on Haiti were dead, Zinn wrote. By the year 1515, there were perhaps 50,000 Indians left. By 1550, there were 500. A report of the year 1650 shows none of the original Arawaks on the Bahamas or their descendants left on the island. Number 5. Columbus sold children into sex slavery. After several voyages and raping and pillaging, Columbus and his men grew increasingly depraved. When he was replaced as governor of Hispaniola and recalled back to Spain in 1500, he wrote in a casual tone of how he provided sex slaves to his men, some of whom were small children, for a high price. Death and taxes called Columbus the pimp of the New World. 100 castellanos are as easily obtained for a woman as for a farm, and there are plenty of dealers who go about looking for girls. Those from 9 to 10 are now in demand, and for all ages a good price must be paid, Columbus wrote. Number 6. Columbus fed natives to dogs. In the book A Dog's History of America, author Mark Dare described the horrific pastime of Columbus and his men, using dogs to hunt natives instead of foxes. This hellish sport was referred to as the Monterio Infernal. Dare also described how the dogs brought over from Spain were bred specifically to have a bloodhound scent, with the long legs and crashing jaws of a mastiff, used to hunt down and kill natives. Natives were even pitted against these dogs in barbaric, gladiator-style death matches. A native would be armed with nothing but a stick and stripped naked, and colonists would entertain themselves by watching the dogs maul the natives by decapitating them with their jaws. The natives grew to fear being thrown to the dogs as the worst form of death. Number 7. Columbus was brought back to Spain as a prisoner, but was immediately pardoned. News of the atrocities committed by Columbus and his men along with his mismanagement of the island's resources created enough outrage that in 1500, he was stripped of his official title as governor of Hispaniola and ordered back to Spain in chains. But King Ferdinand liked Columbus so much that he not only pardoned him, but funded Columbus' 4th voyage. In just 8 years, Christopher Columbus managed to begin the eradication of an entire indigenous population, put the transatlantic slave trade into motion, and establish precedent for centuries of raping and pillaging by other European colonists. Rather than observing Columbus Day this coming Monday, take after Seattle, Washington, Richmond, California, Lawrence, Kansas, and other cities and observe Indigenous Peoples Day instead.
Shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy.
This for my niggas, you know what I'm saying? My real niggas.
You are listening to John Henry Media Network, and we know that truth is the new hate speech.
You my nigga, you my nigga then. We stick together, thick and thin, that's my nigga then. My nigga then. If you my nigga, you my nigga then. We stick together, thick and thin, that's my nigga.
Stay tuned in. The next episode will begin soon. You have just heard another great and powerful message for our black community. Brought to you by John Henry Media Network and the United States of America. This is the place for you, your family and friends to hear educational messages and music from other very important black people to help build a stronger and more revolution-ready black America. Your message will awaken another sleeping giant. So, contact us today at jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. I say again, that's jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. Get your music or message heard by millions for another generous donation today.
Weather's gone, the sun is shining.